Today I am bringing you what we eat in a day here in the cottage and what I am learning in making sourdough starter and sourdough bread. I have only been making bread for a year now, and I made my own sourdough starter, and I don't measure when I make my starter. I just add more flour than water, and I keep my starter thicker. That is something I have learned, and I think it helps tremendously. One thing I have learned as well is to feed my sourdough starter with a bit of rye flour. Now, my brother told me that trick, and he was correct. A little bit of rye and a little bit of all-purpose flour and some warm water in your starter, not hot, just warm, is a game changer when it comes to sourdough starter, at least in my opinion. And then I am keeping my starter near a light, a warm place, and this sourdough starter is completely different than the last starter I had last year. This is only 3 months old. I actually got the flu, so I put it in the refrigerator for about a month and took it out, and that's what you see me doing, is discarding it and feeding it. And it was a beautiful sourdough starter. It was active, bubbly, it tripled in size. Sourdough starter is such an old method for yeast. And I remember reading the Little House on the Prairie books, and I still read them today. And Ma, when she would make biscuits or bread, she would take the leftover dough, and she kept a jar on the top of her stove, and she would take the leftover dough, add it to the jar, and the next time she needed to make biscuits or bread, she would take a pinch out of that jar, and Laura said that was her yeast. And it's funny how when you're little, you don't catch on, but now that I'm older, all she was doing was making sourdough starter and feeding and discarding. And I know Ma did not have time to sit here and stress about her sourdough starter, and I think sometimes I can overthink things, and sourdough starter is no exception. I will just keep learning and working with it and continue making sourdough, and it's our favorite bread. We use it for sandwiches, toast, garlic bread. It is our choice of bread, and if I can keep making this sourdough, it will save money and be healthier and be so fun as well. I feel so homemakerish when I am making sourdough bread. What I have learned with sourdough starter and making bread is a little bit of rye in the starter, a little bit of warm water. Keep my starter thicker and keep it near a warm place as it is rising, and the same goes for the bread. Keep it in a warm place while it is rising, and you'll turn out a beautiful loaf. I am making our favorite feta pasta dish, and I will have these recipes linked in the description below. I do change it up a bit by adding some fresh mozzarella, sun-dried tomatoes, and this go around I added some artichoke hearts, which I think I'll leave out next time. My jars I always wash off before I put back in the refrigerator, and this meal is a 35-minute meal including prep time, so it's super easy, super quick. It's a family favorite meal, and I make it probably once a week, and that's because the girls and Titus request it. It's perfect for the upcoming spring and summer months because it's light and it's fresh. I normally add fresh basil to this recipe, and I have a basil plant, but this winter it's a little bit dormant, but once the spring and summer months come, it will be thriving. I purchased some basil from the market and I just add it right into my hot steamy pasta and a little bit of garlic. This recipe is ready to go in the oven. I thrifted this beautiful wooden spoon this last fall for like 37 cents, I think. It is one of my favorite wooden spoons. My sister told me to get rid of it, but several of you told me to just boil it or put some baking soda on it. That's what I did, and I am so happy that I kept it. This beautiful spoon has such gorgeous patina, and I only found one. It was like 10 cents, and this ironstone bowl was pennies as well. It's one of my favorite little combos when I'm making dinner to make things so pretty. Now comes the fun part of scoring the bread. I don't have any proper tools to make sourdough bread. I don't have Banneton baskets. I don't have a bread knife. I need to purchase all of that. But it just goes to show you, you don't have to have everything perfect to learn something new. And I use any bowls I have, any tea towels. I use a razor blade to score the bread, and it turns out perfectly fine. Violet wants to learn how to make this, and she is going to score the next loaf, and it's time to get dinner put together, the pasta boiled, and put together this beautiful hearty cozy meal of sourdough bread and our favorite feta pasta dish. I don't buy shredded cheese as a roll. I prefer the blocks of cheese. We buy Parmesan cheese and we buy sharp cheddar. And then I also purchased this rustic cheese from England, and I thought it would be beautiful on the sourdough for a grilled cheese for lunch. The grilled cheese turned out so beautiful and so tasty. My bread has nice big holes in it, and this is my best loaf yet in making sourdough. I hope I inspired you to try your hand at sourdough starter, sourdough bread baking, and don't overthink it like I did. Just try it, and I think you'll amaze yourself and find that we can do anything we set our mind to. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and let me know in the comments below if you have tried sourdough starter or if you haven't and you want to try it. I love and appreciate each and every one of you, and I will see you guys on the next video.